Impact, where we interview people who made a powerful impact on the culture, music, and the community as a whole. I'm Sorak, joined by SP and Nev. We ask that you subscribe to the Powerful Impact YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Tonight, we got a special guest. I'm honored to have him here tonight, known as Jeff Walker, the creator of Rhymecology. Also, he's referred to as Rhymecology because he's also a rhyme master, a rap coach, and a qualified mental health professional. So tonight we're going to break it down what Rhymecology is all about. We're going to talk about upcoming projects, and more importantly, we want you to stay tuned because we got a lot for you on this episode. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it started off right. First of all, I want to thank you again for joining us because we consider a privilege having you here, and we're just excited to talk about your story. But I just want to talk about your beginning because everything has a beginning, and we want to know what your beginning is. So, where are you from originally, and how did that shape you personally and professionally?
So, peace, welcome. Thank you for having me. I want to say that the way that I was brought up probably does have a big, powerful impact on
All right, dope.
on the way on me professionally. So I grew up I actually lived overseas. I lived in 6 different countries.
Oh wow!
For the time I was 12. Actually, 6 different continents.
Oh,
5 continents. But anyway, so I moved around a lot. So it was kind of like I couldn't really find my place because I'd go from living in Singapore to living in Argentina to living in Dubai. And it's like it's hard to really like create roots anywhere. And so I was always kind of looking for something to really grab a hold on, because you're changing friends every 2 years as well. So that helped me because I think it made me more personable and sociable and social and able to connect with different people. But it really, when I really got a hold of sports and hip hop, that's when I finally found that thing that I loved and the thing that I was able to really sink my teeth into. So weirdly, my moving around, bouncing around kind of like led me into needing to find a place to be. And that ended up being in hip hop.
Well, it's interesting you said that because one thing I like they say music is a universal language. I want to put hip hop in place of the word music. I feel like hip hop is a universal language because it speaks to all people on different continents, different countries. And you talked about how you have a vast experience. You lived in different places and you came in contact with hip hop. And from what you're telling me, it sounds like that just changed everything for you. So I want to know, because everybody, I call it your hip hop love story, is when you first fell in love with hip hop. And since you brought it up basically in your introduction from the first question I asked, what is your hip hop love story? What made you fall in love with hip hop? Was there a particular song or music video? All of us have different experiences, but what was yours?
Like I loved Raising Hell.
Okay, Run DMC. All right,
but that was just like that was kind of normal. I think when Easy Does It and Straight Outta Compton came out, started to get into it, but that was a little more because it was just really taboo. It wasn't like I was like a suburbs kid listening to this, and I have this poem where I'm talking about, Ice Cube saying "fuck the police" was me. It was resonated with me because I was saying "fuck my parents' divorce" that led me to a new school every 2 years. And it was like that anger, that energy that he was portraying, I was able to match because of, like I told you, all those moves and the split up and then being stuck in these different places. So so that brought me in. Like I started to resonate. I was like, ooh, I'm angry too. Okay, boom, boom. And so I kind of rode out through high school. I was in Bay Area at that time. I rode out high school with Pac and Spice One and MC8, and I was very gangster rap oriented.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It was matching me. But to get to the question, really, is when I heard Fast Life by Nas and Cool G Rap.
Oh yeah, definitely classic.
That's what changed. That's what changed everything for me because I had been listening to it for different reasons. Listening to hip hop for different reasons. But when I heard that track, I said, wait a minute, he's rhyming over here and over here and over here. and the syllables are dink, dink, dink. Wait a minute, hold on. I thought it was just. I thought people just did 2 syllables. Wait, hold on. This guy's doing 3 4s. And my neuron, everything started firing off.
Yeah.
And so I was on the air. I remember I was on an airplane and I wrote it down. Hey yo, I got guns from Italy. Smoke trees considerably. I started to write, and then I was like, this is where it's at. And so that was the real song that turned me into a fan of the lyricism. And then from there, I went forward and then was able to go backwards because I wasn't as hip to Rakim at that time, like and all that. But then the you know, it's been on ever since. Let's just say.
Yeah. And I know that you mentioned when we talked briefly, you was talking. Well, you talked about Cool G rap, but I can tell that you're really into lyricism. There was something I was talking about earlier today. I said, you know, and you can let me know if this statement is correct or incorrect, but I was just saying anybody can do rap, but it takes skills to be an MC. You know what I'm saying? Because there's an art to MCing versus just putting rhymes together and saying you rapping. What is your viewpoint on that? Do you think there's a difference between rapping and MCing, or do you see them as synonymous, as the same?
No, I definitely think there's a difference. I also think there's a difference between lyricists and rappers. MC means move the crowd, right? And so while some, like, you know, some dudes, some artists, like they might have the rhymes, like to be honest, like Rakim, who said move the crowd, like he's a different kind of MC on stage than KRS is.
That's true.
But when it comes to the record, like they're both MCs, and so I liked the way I look at it, like lyricists. I think there's lyricists and there's rappers, and so like people like we're talking like Mickey Fax earlier and LZI and the Pharoah Monch. These are my kind of lyricists, more than like say someone like maybe like a Fat Joe or someone he's like a dope rapper. You know, like these guys are great rappers, but Big Pun is more of a lyricist than Fat Joe might have been, right? Because the way he took time to make sure it was 4 syllables in a rhyme, and that rhyme stretched out 3 or 4 lines, right? And so he's, you know, that to me, that's the difference when you're like, you want to use different tools, you want to use different techniques, and I want to use some alliteration right here. I want to have an internal rhyme right here. I want to make sure that this is a double or triple entendre right here.
Okay.
To me, that's a lyricist compared to what we all know as rappers.
Okay.
I think Crook is so underrated in that area because the way he puts his schemes together and his way of writing is fascinating to me.
Who did you say? Did you say Crooked?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, like what Crooked did with the weeklies.
Yeah.
That's like one of the most impressive things to me that I've heard in a long time. Like he did a weekly, and every week he had double entendres. He had wordplay. He said something about pour something out, something about crooked, and then he said eyes missed for the guys, eyes missed for the what did he say? Oh man, he has anyway. I feel you get crazy wordplay, and I think that he's super underrated in that. I totally agree with you in that.
Oh yeah, he when I heard him say, "Hey, bruh, I go ham for dead presidents," and everything I say go over your head like a boom mic, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I got everything," but when he said that, "Hey, bruh, ham," I go ham for dead presidents, and then he said, "That's what I'm in the booth like." So then he had the John Wilkes Booth.
John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a lyricist right there. That's a lyricist. Thank God for him on the West Coast. We need him.
Oh yeah.
I I used to eat tons of ham in Illinois. Now I'm seeing Hamilton with my boys. So I took the Hamilton and flipped it into tons of ham in Illinois. And why did I say it? Anyway, yeah, stuff like that is like that's what excites me.
Yeah, that wordplay, I'm hitting meanings and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's the same way I feel about. I watched you and Mickey Fax breaking down race, and I looked at that. I listened to that, and it was just a master class in lyricism. When even the album, even the cover art was a double. You know what I mean?
Right. No, yeah, I mean, and we just broke down 4 bars in that. We broke down 4 bars, and I mean, you could have done that 20 different times on that track alone. He's crazy. But it takes people like us to appreciate it, to keep someone like him going, to notice it. And that's why we connected, is because he knows, how I take this seriously, and, just people want to be appreciated. And so at that time, he read an article, Mickey Fax read an article I wrote called The Evolution of Rhyming in Hip Hop. And it was like a 25-page article I wrote, and from Busy Bee, Sugar Hill to Busy Bee, all the way to where we're at now. And so he reached out to me and was like, "Thank you for what you're doing." And then we've been friends ever since.
So what do you think of some of the changes? The notable changes in lyricism over the years?
I mean,
kind of like a lyricist history.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long answer, but it's everything. It's when it started, we were coming out of the disco, like basically disco era. So of course the rhymes were, if you're a Sagittarius, put your hands in the air, like that kind of party rhymes, which cool. But then when Kool Moe Dee took down Busy Bee at Harlem World in, I think, 1981 with the ba-de-ba, put that bullshit on hold, and I don't mean to, what he said, I don't mean to be bold, but put that ba-de-ba bullshit on hold. And he just tore him up lyrically. I feel that was like one of the shifting points, because it went from party rhyme to lyrical rhyme, and also diss rhyme as well. It was one of the first diss tracks. So something like that was big. And then when Run DMC came out, they had a lot of like internal rhymes. They had the end rhyme, but they always had like almost, you can see there's a science to it. On Raising Hell, there's like always 2 internal rhymes in between the end rhymes. So that was big. But then Rakim changed everything. I mean, Rakim changed everything.
Yeah.
Because he then really made multi-syllabic rhyming. He really started painting pictures. He also had cliffhanger sentences. He also had cliffhangers like plate of fish, which is my favorite dish. Like plata rhymed with the word before. So fish then was the beginning of the next line. So like people weren't really doing that. They always ended it. It was always an end rhyme. So then when Rakim did that, in all of that, he changed everything for a generation. Then I say Nas came in with the poetics, street poetry, just different ways of using words. Then I think, Jay-Z and P. Diddy with the materialism and all that, kind of shifted us in a different way, but it took over for a lot. And then we had the backpack era, Mos and Talib and all them brought it back again. So it's just it's always this cycle. So I, not to go through every single period, but it's changed a lot. And there's always 2 things that it feels like there's always 2 things that are present in, whatever's kind of like hot, whether it's the Migos recently or the Hot Boys then, then there's always a flip side to it, and it's always there. You just got to be able to find it. Yeah. So there's a bit of an answer.
Don't you got? I always say I kind of wish there was more. There was still a more even playing field. You know what I mean? A more of a balance in, rocking the party and actually saying something.
That is a good point. The first thing that came to mind when you said that was Jurassic 5. I feel like they had like that party, upbeat, but also dope rhymes. And I can't think of too many, that were really not too many people do that. It's like you have your quote conscious MCs, you have your party MCs, you got your gangster rappers, you got your da-da-da. But yeah, it's hard to kind of blend them. I mean, obviously with Mace, what Mace and Biggie and they all did was just straight, like they just smashed them together somehow with the old samples and all. But I'm with you on that.
I think that it was just more of a balance. Even on the records, it was more of a balance, because even the conscious artists had some sort of party song, Miss Fat Booty, or something.
Then you're saying a little while ago. Yeah, Miss Fat, right. Yeah, it did seem like records back then, like you tried to have like one or two quote radio friendly tracks, like AZ, AZ with Sugar Hill. Like he's like, I don't want to put this track out. I remember he's like, I don't want to put it out because it just seems kind of corny. Like Biggie didn't want to put out his big hit on Ready to Die. Like say it was the same idea. Like they didn't want to put it out because it didn't feel real. But then because they did, that's where they got the notoriety. And then they still have all those amazing other tracks on there. So it does feel like a little bit different now. It's like people get a lane and they kind of stick with it, right?
Yeah. And I think it's a shame, because the reason I still listen to Eminem is because I just never know what he's gonna do. You never know what you're going to get. It's the reason I love Crook. It's the reason I love Joel Ortiz. You just Mickey Fax. You just never know if you're going to get just a hard boom bap, if you're going to get a message across. And I think the surprise has gone out.
The surprise.
I'm no longer, listening to an album and be like, did he just say what I think he said? And then you have to go back and rewind it, the replay.
The rewind. The other thing is, though, we've been listening for so long. We've heard everything, right? So there's also that, like why am I going to be impressed by J. Cole when I heard Big Daddy Kane do something similar? You know what I mean? Or like, so like we kind of have like, we've heard it done in a certain way for so long. Like, it's almost like it's probably hard to impress us. That's why I guess I really get into like the structure and the patterns now of listening to like Elzai or Pharaoh or someone do things like, whoa, wait, he just said, he said something about, Giuliani shipped men to the pen, and then he has penmanship in the next line, like we were saying a second ago. So ship men to the pen. You see how this penmanship is. Those kind of things like are exciting to me now, but it's partly because we've heard so much. Like we've been through so much.
So when it comes to the new artists, who are you listening to? Do you have any newer artists that's kind of like you were kind of
newer artists?
They might have something.
as I'm literally gonna look at my 2021 playlist to see who I've been listening to. They're no, nobody's new. Nobody's new. These are people with new songs. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate some of the like what Benny and Conway are doing, just because they do it so consistently, and they I can't believe you can talk about one topic so often and still be fresh. So they're kind of impressive for that.
Well, Pusha T been doing that since he came out.
Right.
He's been consistently on that topic, and
right.
I want to hear it every time he comes out.
Right. Same idea. New artists. Who might? I liked this JR project this year.
Oh yeah.
JRR, I really like that. I mean, new for me is like Locksmith is new to me because like like Homeboy Sam, like these none of these guys are new. So I can't say
Homeboy Sandman, dope MC.
Yeah, he's not new, but like compared to the golden era, I guess he is. And so I guess she
means like the last decade or so.
Yeah,
I've been I've been trying to
rappers
undig my head from our era, which is so hard, but I found a few like West Side Boogie. I really love what he's doing. I love what Jid is doing. I'm really into Corday.
God.
Yeah. Griff, the artist that signed with Shady. He's pretty dope.
Graph.
Is it Graph or Griff?
Well, no,
Graph.
I'm saying Graph.
Yeah.
You said Griff, but I'm saying Graph also.
Yeah.
Crazy lyricist. Yeah.
Yeah, they're I try not to stay buried just because, I want to see where we're going. You know what I mean?
I do.
I want to see if we've left this in good hands.
I do. Man, I don't know. I know. I don't know what to say about that because I was just looking at my 2021 playlist and it's like Apathy, AZ. So I was like, JR. Okay, there's one guy I can name. Napoleon the Legend. That's my guy. I like what Napoleon. Page Kennedy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of like flipping through, like seeing if there's anyone new. I guess Russ is kind of new. He had a few good tracks on his album that just came out this week. But yeah, you could tell I'm not like finger to the. I don't have my pulse on like what's happening with new dudes. To be honest.
Yeah, it was like
Saw Rock.
I said, God Dog and J Electronica is gonna make me have to listen to a Russ album.
Right. I was actually listening to the J Electronica mixtape. I came across like an old blank CD and it just said J Electronica mixtape, and I was like, "Oh wow, that was so good."
Victory.
I just had it's just like a blank disc that's just labeled as mixtape, so I don't even know. I think it might be a mix of different mixtapes. To be honest, I probably like took all my favorite ones and burned it onto a disc or something, but it was pretty refreshing to hear.
We haven't had a moment like Exhibit C in a long time.
Nah.
That moment, man, I'm in New York and I don't know if it's biased or whatever, but when that hit, it was like pause. Everything was stopped. Yeah. I want another moment like that in hip hop.
Just right.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely didn't get it from him.
No.
Toby's had some cool stuff recently, obviously, and a few years back now, Kendrick had a few like of those that I thought were powerful like that. But I mean, none of them are as good to me as Exhibit C. That was just pure
Powaful Impak. Boom.
Pure beauty. Yeah.
So, what made you decide to pursue a career in music?
That Nas Cool G rap song, Fast Life. Probably. That just opened up this box, and then everything I started to study from then on, just like it just kept amazing me. And listening to early 2000s artists who were doing crazy rhyme things like Louis Logic and like Sage Francis, people who were like rhyming like 8 words in this line. Like it just, for some reason, it just really excited me, the actual rhyming and writing process. But I hadn't like really performed. I had written a few things, but I started out in LA doing like slam poetry. But my poetry was always hip hop based. I was like dubbed the hip hop poet out here. So I would infuse those rhymes and the rhyming techniques and patterns, and like usually have hip hop references in my pieces. You know, I wasn't like just the poet up there talking about society. It was all like hip hop stuff for me. So eventually, it kind of like I started to record more tracks and kind of used my rhyming in different places. Like I started to rhyme for Fox Sports. I would do like, you know how Skills does the wrap up thing. Like I would be doing like a daily wrap up for Fox Sports Radio. But in less time than Skills would do it, because I would literally be in the studio doing it like within 15 minutes, having to wrap up the show. So that was also a big thing. At the time I was doing the spoken word shows, I was doing the Fox Sports wrap-ups, which led to me creating a song about Kenny Smith from inside the NBA, which led to them playing the entire video and song on Inside the NBA during the playoffs years back. And Shaq and Barkley singing my song, Kenny Needs an Emmy, Kenny Needs an Emmy. It's called Kenny Needs an Emmy. And I was like, how come Shaq and Chuck, how come they got all the Emmys? I'm like, Kenny's the glue that keeps this thing together. And so that was like a kind of like a 15 minutes of fame thing. So yeah, for those things. And then, as I cultivated relationships over the years, and I just started to, kind of sit down and record more, and just recording more. And I still haven't put out what I consider a great project. And I think that's just what's coming in this next year. All these years later, it's a crazy thing,
So with all the hip hop you've heard over the years, what's a bar that you heard that you still use just every day as an example of great lyricism?
I switched my motto. Instead of saying fuck tomorrow, that buck that bought the bottle could have struck the lotto. That's
nice.
That's got to be one. I have my own bar. What was my own one? But one of my own bars is for every person that's chasing their dreams, we got 10 that are stuck in the spaces between. It's one of mine that I think is pretty powerful. For every person chasing their dreams, we got 10 that are stuck in the spaces between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are one Nas, one Rhymecology, but those are two that hit me. I also love Kool Moe Dee. I don't write, I build a rhyme.
Yeah.
I don't need the line before it, the punch, the setup line. I don't need, just right there. I don't write, I build a rhyme, because that shows like the architecture behind it. To me, that's powerful. When RZA said,
I know you worked with the inner city youth. Do you get a kick out of seeing the looks on their faces when they actually hear a lyricist?
Yes, it's let's see, it's kind of a double-sided question because let's see. Yeah, most of them obviously, you know, I worked for 15 years in Compton and Long Beach, and most just they didn't know anything about the lyricism or the artists that we talk about. So you'd have to go in and listen to, you know, what they're listening to, and then maybe be able to offer something else. And so, but it would also have to be on the right topic. So I don't know. Sometimes it hit right. Sometimes it hit right. Like I remember I was working with a young lady who was always being disrespected. You know, talking about her butt size or this and that. All, you know, she had some issues at school with boys or whatever. And when I played her Latifah, RESPC, you know, when I played her, you and, you know,
UNITY,
all those, like it was like, what? I thought, and so, you know, she's came in that era, especially. Some female MCs have really made a great charge in like the last 5-8 years, but like maybe 15 years ago or so, it was real shaky. It was hard to find anyone really bringing it then. So I had to go back to Latifah, and the smile was like wow. Who you calling a bitch? It was like, it was so powerful. So the answer is, you know, the level that we're talking about, it was sometimes hard to reach, but giving them a chance to write their own rhymes, that was the therapeutic part, because I could guide them enough so that it would become something therapeutic. And, you know, maybe the first thing they wrote was about whatever topic they wanted. And I say, hey, what if we flipped it this way? And then it became something, you know, more powerful, because they all had such powerful stories. Yeah, the stories are amazing.
So I have a question about you. I kind of want to dig into your history, or get our audience a chance to know more about you. And one of the things that I want to ask you about is already on your hoodie. How did you come up with your name? And does it have any specific meaning or significance as far as Rhymecology is concerned?
For sure. All right. Well, Rhymecology helps people express, discover, and create themselves through the use of written and spoken word. So some people could call it hip hop therapy, but I don't consider myself I'm not a licensed therapist, but I'm a qualified mental health professional who worked with youth for 15 years. So hip hop therapy or not, Rhymecology is the combination of the art of rhyming and psychology. So Rhymecology, psychology of rhyme.
All right.
And it kind of, it came to me years ago. I remember I was writing in a journal, and I literally, it was like 15, more than 15 years ago. I still had this journal, and I drew this bridge, and I wrote hip hop on one side of the bridge, and I wrote psychology on the other. And I drew that thing, and then Rhymecology came out of it. And then I heard Cannabis say, I'm a rhymechiatrist. He said that like mixtape or something. And so rhymechiatrist, and then between the bridge, it became, I'm a rhymecologist.
That's dope.
And I am a rhymecologist.
I've seen you work. Yes, you are.
Well, I'm glad you do what you do, because I think we need that arena for the culture. And I think it's good that you're working with youth, because some of our youth are misguided, like you were talking about how you provided the young lady opportunity to hear Queen Latifah. You know, UNITY, TY. And you know, one of the lines that stands out, who you calling a bitch? You know, we're not a bitch or a hoe, because when you listen to the music today, that's what's being emphasized. Even some people have taken on that title. You know, they say, yeah, I'm the baddest bitch. You know, you see that happening. So it's good that you challenge that thought process. You can go ahead and speak to that, but it's good that you challenge that thought process.
That's such a good point. Like it's become, yeah, I'm a bad bitch. Like you're right. That's become a thing. And so many of these words that are in the hip hop dialect, and I don't know why, like we flip them to try to make them empowering, I guess, but the roots are still, you know, the roots are not empowering. They're not. But for someone to say, who you calling a bitch, I punched him dead in his eye. Like, that's just, it's such a rare thing to hear. Still to this day, like they're still not doing, like if you're just, it seems like they're now taking on the stereotype and becoming empowered. Like they're trying to empower themselves through the stereotype, right? I'm the baddest bitch. I'll do this in bed. I'll do, you know, da 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 da. Like it's like they've taken that on, and instead of like fighting it off, they're like embodying it, which is only doubling down on the original. My humble opinion. I mean,
okay. Well, we want your opinion.
Don't you kind of think that kind of came around in the 90s when we went from queens to bitches and hoes?
Gangster bitch.
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think somehow we've tried to take those words and make them empowering because they weren't going anywhere. It seemed like the more they complained about it, the more they doubled down on them. You know? So
right.
I think people had to figure out, I think as with most things, just like the N-word, you find a way to take the power away from it.
Got it. I could see that. Yep.
Yeah, I think both perspectives are good. I think we need to explore that deeper. I know we don't have the luxury of talking about it tonight, because tonight we're here to honor your journey and the different things that you offer with Rhymecology. But I do want to, but that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had in the culture as far as symbolism and different things of that nature. I think we need to definitely dive deep into that. I kind of want to, I heard your conversation with SP, and you hit on a lot of things. One, you were talking about how you were considered the hip hop poet, if I said it correctly. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, when it comes to rhyming or MCing, some of the MCs that you know today are some of the ones in the past. I speak of Pac in particular. In this case, they were poets, or he was a poet. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't realize that poetry is directly linked to rhyming or MCing. In this case, I'll use that in this context, MCing. And you also talked about Rakim, how he transformed a generation, and a generation is usually considered, 50 years. So he made a significant impact on the culture. But now, since we kind of talked about MCing, we talked about lyricism and things of that nature, let's look at it. Let's look at it from another way. Let's look at it from this perspective. What do you think of some of the differences as far as like between cadence, flow, and delivery? Because you hear that now, like, he got dope lyrics. Sometimes people say he got a dope delivery, or he got a dope flow, or I like his cadence. What do you think of some of the differences based on your experience?
Between current generation and like golden era?
Just the idea.
I would like you to explain the difference in the words, because people use these words all the time, and I don't believe they know what they mean. They're just, his cadence is dope, but they have no earthly idea what a cadence is.
Right. If I was going to answer that, I probably would be thinking of it on the fly, because I don't think I've ever really put that into words exactly. Flow, cadence, delivery, flow, cadence. They're all in a similar family, it feels like. also probably couldn't answer that in the way that you might be looking for. So I probably won't even tackle that. I just know that, you know, they try to say that today's artists are more melodic, like they're a little more, like I just had a call earlier today with someone who was listening to some tracks for my new record, and he's like, oh, you should try to be a little more melodic because your delivery is ding ding ding, like, and he's like, you know, you got to have a little more, and I'm like, okay, all right, taking notes down. So like, you know, this seems like the where we're at now is super melodic, but the problem is the melodic is lacking the content. And you know, I mean, you can't tell me Big Daddy Kane wasn't melodic, like when he was, you know, confused and lose and all, like when he was doing, that was
R-A-W.
Yeah, it was different melody. It was more like a drum melody rather than a string melody, I guess.
Or even the Cold Crush brothers, you know, all of them were melodic.
Right.
And
I think that it's always been melodic, but it just changes. And it probably depends on where we're at as a society and as a culture, in that when we need to get a message across. So the generation who came after, like Golden Age and the Raucous and the Backpack era, like they put the messages out. So then the new guys didn't have to. They just kind of rode these melodies and these waves and these flows and all that. But it was like, how could you do something, like Black Star when they just did it? Is like, so anyway, I just think that it depends on, you know, where we're at in this generational cycle of hip hop and society. You know, and so sometimes the melody and the whatever they want to say, the cadence is now a little more important for new artists than, you know, what they're actually saying on a track.
You know, a question I keep coming to my mind, so I got to ask the question because I know one of the things you do, you break down lyrics and things of that nature, and you know, explain the significance of it. I harken back to that song, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, The Message. I feel like that's one of the first, in my opinion, one of the first conscious raps, you know what I'm saying? Because he was talking about things that were happening. He was talking about Reaganomics during the time of Reaganomics. And, you know, I don't know if you had the opportunity to really just dive into that and break it down or anything like that. But if you're just able to give some quick feedback on that, how do you think that song, affected the culture? And if he was able to break down the significance of it, I would want to get your opinion on that.
It changed everything.
Okay.
It changed everything. Because it was the first snapshot of what was really happening. Because again, like I said earlier, we were coming out of disco era, and early MCs were the Busy Bees and the party MCs, even Cold Crush Brothers. Like it was more party. Like, so when the message came out, it changed everything, because it was like people, number one, the people who were living in this situation, people pissing on the street, you know, they just don't, when that happened, they were like, yeah, that's what's happening. So they related to it. It became the first real street poetry. But then also for people living outside of it, they're like, wait, people live like that? Wait, I don't live. I live over here in the. I didn't know that's happening. So it was the beginning of, like Chuck D said, hip hop's the black CNN, right? So that's where it started. They were like, I need to tell you exactly what's happening where I'm at, and so it's the most important song in hip hop history, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I mean, even today you have people that still use that one little phrase in there, "Don't push me because I'm close to the, edge." We all know it. I don't need to recite it, but it's just something that continues to linger within hip hop culture. I mean, I think you can go anywhere in the world and somebody know at least that part of the song if they don't know the entire song. So that's just something that I wanted to ask you, because that was just on my mind. And, you know, in line with that, you know, I think about, because you were kind of heading there earlier, but I kind of want to bring you back there where you were talking about where you was going to say about when we was talking about cadence, delivery and flow, you was going to do you're going to compare the golden era, I believe, and then how it's different now. But let me ask you a different question, but kind of in that same context. When you think about boom bap, how do you think that has changed from, you know, let's say the golden era to now? Do you think there was some significant changes, or do you think it has remained the same?
I think that there was just more of it. Like we just like everything was a slight variation of boom bap. It felt like, right? It was like that was what it was, and then there was a slightly different lane here and there. And so everything that happened then, like now, like there still is dope boom bap. And like that's when we probably me, but I'm sure you also, when you hear it right away, you know, you're like, okay, like and that brings us back. So I just think it's still there, but it's not as commercially viable, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what
absolutely.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you listen to like Static Selecta, like he does like all kinds of boom bap, and you know, he's got a lot of dope MCs on there. But you know, he's not doing what, you know, the Drakes and the Wiz Khalifas or what, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, the boom bap is there. But you know, it's just like the boom bap, it just feels like, you know, the boom bap and from like 90, you know, 90, I don't know what, 92, 90 to 96-ish, 91, 90, 96-ish. Like it had a space to live.
Yes.
Like EPMD was on the radio.
Yeah, they were.
EPMD was on the radio. You know what I mean? And like I was listening to, you know, I had the blank tapes, and I was, you know, blank tape. I was recording off the radio, and I was hearing in 1 hour I could hear EPMD to Too Short, to Paris, to Tribe Called Quest, you know, to Souls of Mischief.
Oh man, you brought it back.
That's
you brought it back.
But here's the thing though, they all were so different, right? So when you're talking boom bap, then those 6 or 7 people I just mentioned are all pretty much boom bap era, even though they were all so different from each other. So you go to now, and if you have boom bap now, like say a Static album mixed with a, you know, a Harry Fraud or a Pete Rock, like they all kind of are a little bit similar. You know what I mean? Even the boom bap now is like trying to be a little bit like the boom bap them, but all the boom bap now, it's all similar, rather than Tribe was so different than PE, which was so different than BDP, which was so different than, you know, X Clan, or, you know, all of that, right? So it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing.
And can I just add? Can y'all please bring back the drums?
drums have
we need the drums back. We need the drums back.
We need the drums back.
The drums have taken a little break, it seems like. The first time I really heard it was Anchovies. It was, that Anchovies album. And the reason why they called it Anchovies was because it was like, well, anchovies not for everyone, which was a great idea. Taste, but you know, there's a lot of people that have done that. It'll come back. I think the drum list is kind of starting to play out now.
So what programs, workshops, and classes are you offering aspiring young rappers?
Yeah, that's actually, especially since COVID, it's really opened up a lot more through, you know, the Zooms and all that. I do a workshop called Breaking Through with Bars. And what it usually is like 4 weeks. We meet once a week. But my workshops are like, I go in like 3 hours. Like I'm doing like 2.5, 3 hours. We're doing writing techniques. We're doing prompts. We're doing lessons. I'm teaching them different styles and techniques about rhyming. And I'm doing it with them. It's really usually an intimate thing. I try to keep it pretty intimate because everyone has so much to say. But I do something called breaking through with bars. I do something called raising your bars, which is kind of the continuation of that. And so, yeah, it's all through Rhymecology. And we have we got a lot of different levels. We've got some really experienced MCs. We've got some kind of beginner MCs, but we always find a balance. And it's always just a lot of love, a lot of positivity, and a lot of like pushing you. I push you to get outside of your writing box, because we as artists, we get so comfortable in our boxes. We're so comfortable in them, right? Like if I grab this notebook right here and I start to write on the page, it's often going to be in a similar cadence, or it's going to be in a similar, it might even be similar words, you know? So what Rhymecology is, not only is the lessons, but I also push you to go outside of your box, so that when you come back into your box, you're more comfortable and you can bring those tools into your comfort zone.
So if someone is interested in take advantage of your workshop, which we'll probably dive a little deeper, I just want to kind of plug it right now since we're here. How can they take advantage of your workshops, or how can they get in contact with you to attend your workshops?
Rhymecology.com.
Okay.
Rhymecology.com. To be honest, like I pretty much do all my stuff on Instagram lately. It's kind of scary because I think like if that goes away, like I got nothing else really going. Like I quit Facebook. Anyway, so but Instagram is where I usually get most of my clients from.
Okay.
I also do one-on-ones, because not everyone wants to be in the group setting. So I have a lot of individual clients that I work with, like and so we create usually 3, 4 to 5 song concept EPs, and it's from start to finish. And so with working one-on-one, not only do you get the rhyme help, you get the guidance and direction, but you also get the mental health. You get the therapist part of me in case you need it. Some people don't think they need it. It's all good, but it's there if we need to break through anything in order to create the dopest product.
I think that is needed in hip hop. We talked about it on a previous episode where I brought up DMX, the song "Slipping," because you can kind of feel some of the pain. Well, it's kind of perfect for you actually, because I know that's what you do. You can kind of feel the pain that was in the song, and I feel like one of the challenges we have for hip hop as a whole is that we're losing too many giants. And it's based on some of them not getting the mental help that they need, are dealing with mental health issues. It kind of gets swept under the rug because we're encouraged to think that if we deal with mental health, it's a taboo thing. Like you can't have any problems because you got to have this tough guy image, a tough woman image, and we're not able to get help. It's like it's wrong to do that. So again, I'm glad that you're doing that. I want to kind of talk about what you do in a little more detail. Do you think that can music and lyrics affect the human body physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally? Since we talked about your clientele, I just want to kind of dive a little deeper into that aspect of it.
Yeah. Can lyrics affect the human body? Physically,
emotionally, spiritually, or even mentally?
Yeah.
You can speak to one. You don't have to speak to
all. No, I definitely think so. Like I said earlier, when I heard Cube say "fuck the police," it affected me because he was saying "fuck something."
Exactly.
And I was a kid saying whatever. I was in a different world. I didn't have police problems. I didn't have nothing like that. But I was saying "fuck something." So that affected me hit me, that really did. Like, you know, Master Ace has got this track also. When I look in the mirror, I don't know who I see. I don't know who I be. Like, am I really moving at all? Because I swear I can't tell if my life is improving at all. And when I heard that at that time, I cried because I was in the exact same place. And so if you're talking about, you know, physically, that's a physical thing. I was crying. I was crying. And you know, and so yeah, yes to all of those things. And that's why music is what it is. And it's, unfortunately, you know, sometimes it's such a business that we get away from what's really touching. But yeah, every kind of music, obviously. But hip-hop too.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because you were saying how, and you know, and I appreciate you being honest about that, because some people won't admit that they cried over a song. It's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just glad that you admitted that, because I think that we need to show the emotional side of how music impact. I mean, like, every time I have a down moment, when I'm going through some, you know, depression or anything like that, I throw that slipping on real quick, and then I'll be like, okay, I can relate to that, and then that gets me out of my state of mind and gives me some type of encouragement to keep going on.
Well,
because
is it because at the end of, isn't it the hook, slip and fall and can't get up, but isn't at the end of the hook, I'm gonna get back on my feet so I can tear shit up?
Exactly.
If you didn't have that, you would probably you needed that part to bounce you up, right?
Yeah, like you said, that last part, I get back up, because you, most of the time, you know, sometimes you hear some music make you more depressed, but you need something that's going to say, get your ass up and keep moving, because you know you get stuck, you know what I'm saying? And that's why, again, I'm glad that we're dealing with the mental health aspect, because that's very important. I think that is key to really get us moving in the right direction, because it's one thing to write a rhyme, but it's another thing to be able to relate to people with your rhymes. And, you know, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about being relatable. That's what, when you said about not Ice Cube, NWA, when they said, fuck the police, you might didn't have that like experience, but you was glad to say, fuck something. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I think all of us have something we want. I know at that time I was saying, fuck the police, because that's what I was dealing with in my upbringing, you know, being in the South and, you know, dealing with some of the issues that were there. But even then, just the idea of someone was bold enough to say fuck the police, or say fuck, period, you know what I'm saying, other than talking about a woman or another person, but saying something that's considered a power struggle in society. I just want to kind of continue to dig into what we're talking about now. Do you believe hip hop has the potential to, I know we kind of say that it can reach us on different levels, but do you think it has the potential to help us with mental issues and systematic challenges? Do you think it has that potential based on your experience?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think you summarized it with the slipping hook.
Okay.
Because sometimes you can get lost in a song that's depressing, as you're depressed, right? And then sometimes, like say like a Talib song, like that get up song where stop smoking, stop drinking, all that stuff, it's all up, right? But the sweet spot is when you can say, and this is what I try to work with some of my clients on, is like, let them know that you're like them. Let them know that you're going through what they're going through, and then show them the other side. One verse here, one verse here, one verse down, one verse middle, third verse up. Ding, ding, ding. So I think that's that sweet spot. And obviously there's been a lot of songs like that. But it seems like the majority is usually kind of slanted one way or the other. But I think that slipping hook was perfect, because when you said, you know, you listen to Slippin' when you're depressed, I started thinking, why would you listen to that? And then I remembered the last line of the hook. And I was like, I get back on my feet so I can tear shit up.
Exactly. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, I always go back to Renegade. You know, Jay-Z said, I came to the fork in the road and went straight. You know, that that always resonates with me.
Dope.
Yeah, in his early days, he had some emotional songs towards the end of the album. I always remember like Regrets and Regrets. Yeah, Regrets was one of them. That was good. And Master Ace had No Regrets. Oof, that was also yeah. So, but you know, and I always talk about this with Master Ace. It's like there's no self-deprecation anymore. Like it's less now than ever. So when you're asking that question, it's like it's less self-deprecation, less humility, less vulnerability. Like even though MCs were hard in our golden era days, for some reason they also seemed vulnerable. I mean, is it just me? It seemed like they also had that vulnerability. Like even Ghostface, you know, plugging roaches out the cereal box, like saying that we had to share a pair of pants, like saying that is vulnerable in itself. Now, can you imagine some like new MC some new MC coming out saying they had to share his pants? Like they're not going to do that. Not going to do that. Do that. And I think that's why there's a little less relatability in my humble opinion, because we also got to watch, you know, Ghostface come from that to something else. We got to watch Nas go from the street poet to Nas Escobar to Nasir Jones, etc. And so I just like, it seems like now they're coming in, they're wanting to be Nasir Jones rather than Nasty Nas, right? Yeah. And it's like they want to be Sean Carter, but they don't want to be, you know, Jay-Z with the gold tooth. You know what I mean? Like there's it feels like most, from my humble opinion, it seems like we're skipping steps.
Well, they definitely are. There was something I saw recently, since you mentioned Jay-Z, where he said people want to emulate my success, but they don't want to emulate the process, which is pretty much in line with what you said, because that's everybody want to skip over the struggle. They just want to get to the glamour and glitz, you know, but that's not really how life works and how life operates. And there's an evolution. I mean, you start off one way and then you evolve because you have different life experiences. You have one experience where you don't have money, and then you have an experience where you get some money, and you speak to those things. And that's just all part of the relatability aspect. But, you know, I want to talk more about psychological aspects of what you like when you're providing therapy. How do you use that with hip hop? Can you just kind of describe? I know you don't have to go in details or mention your client's name or anything, but just kind of take us through. So you kind of touched on a little bit, but I just want to dive a little deeper as far as how you use hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a trained mental health professional, so I mean, I get people, I get what they're going through. I'm able to call it out. So we can call it out. We can talk about it. And we have like a therapeutic discussion. Like, let's say instead of sitting on the couch paying $400 an hour to a psychologist, you're sitting talking with me, and our goal is to eventually write a rhyme about this. So it makes it less threatening. It makes it more exciting because you've heard your favorite artists be vulnerable on a track. You've heard some of the hardest MCs, you know, talk about their struggles. So it's safer. It's more reasonable to for you to do it because you've seen it done. And so if you're working with me, someone who gets mental health as well as rhyme writing, we combine the two. Like I just did I worked with a young woman who said she could never let anyone get close to her. So from that one sentence, we created a whole EP called Close.
Okay.
And so Close also meant the walls in her apartment are too close, and the closing in, and all these different iterations of the word close and closing and all that stuff. And so it's so dope. It's just so dope when you hit and connect with someone and they open up to you, and then you're able to make art out of it. I mean, it's the best thing.
Well, it's definitely, I could say it's definitely the fringe benefit.
Yeah. So, what what do you say to people that claim negative music and lyrics can influence or cause misogyny, rape, drug use, drug selling, crime, death, everything in the world that anybody's ever said in the hip hop record is the cause of everything that's happening in the world right now?
I say that society influences the music more than music influences the society. That's my simple answer. It's obviously there's sometimes variations to the rule, but back to NWA again, when they came out, they talked about what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And some people didn't know about that. Some people didn't know what was happening. So they literally wouldn't have created Straight Outta Compton with all that they talked about if that wasn't happening. So I just think society influences music more than music influences society. It's probably a little bit blurry now because people are trying to emulate what our golden era heroes did to get there, like we just kind of talked about. But in general, I think that that's the rule. So I'm not going to say that. Let me think. Was I drinking 40s in high school because Snoop and Dre did it in the video? Yeah, actually, I probably was. So, there's probably a little bit of both. When they opened the freezer in G thing and it was filled with that's what. So obviously, I think there is a little bit of both, but I'm going to lean towards no. Society influences more. Than the other way around.
I agree with you because I do think that music has an influence because, you wouldn't see, like, when Run DMC was wearing the Adidas, I still haven't figured out how they wore the Adidas without the shoestrings, but, that's a whole nother conversation. But, when they had the Adidas shoes and I felt that I wanted to buy a pair of Adidas. I wanted to wear some shell top Adidas. And then, like you said you saw the 40s. We didn't have 40s in Florida. We only had a court, but I had my court trying to drink and, fit in because we want to fit in, societal desires. We want to fit in. But I agree with you. I think society has more influence, more so than the music influences society as a whole. I do want to I know, and I'm glad you kind of spoke to that, but I kind of want to talk. I don't want to switch the current too much. But I do want to acknowledge some of your achievement because I know that you have worked with the NBA. I just want to give you an opportunity to talk about that. And then we're definitely going to go back into the psychological aspect of what you do with Rhymecology.
I wouldn't say I worked with the NBA. Like I said earlier, I made that track about Kenny Smith on Inside the NBA.
Okay.
And they played it on there, and it was a big moment. And I've made some. What I do? I've had tracks played at the Staples Center. I've made some songs about the Lakers.
Okay.
But I don't have a relationship with them. But I've had some fun moments. Like I made a track about the Dodgers. They played it at the Dodger Stadium, and I've had some cool things happen in sports, no doubt about it. But it's just one man. I'm just a one-man show, just grinding and hoping these good things happen, which once in a while they do.
And I stand corrected. I meant to say inside the NBA. So thank you for clarifying that for me because we definitely want to make sure we say it right here on Powaful Impact. But the good thing about it, you were part of it. You was working and doing something connected to the inside the NBA, and you were able to make a powerful impact in that arena. So that's great, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't have that experience or they can't speak to that. I kind of want to go back to some of your brand, Rhymecology, also your name as an artist, as you mentioned earlier. If you were not, just kind of want to give you a chance to dream outside of your current role. If you were not a lyric masterclass, or if you were not a lyric masterclass teacher, what be some other interests or careers you would like to pursue or explore? And if you want to answer the why, you can. If not, you can just say what you would want to do.
All right. So if I wasn't a rhymecologist, what would I want to do?
Yes.
I often think the two things I sometimes think is, well, there's probably three things that I probably could have been. Probably a DJ. I could have been a DJ. Just and I could see me getting all into the roots of songs and where songs came from, just like I do with the rhymes.
Okay.
I don't focus on that as much because I'm so much over here, but I could do that. I probably could have been a psychologist, like an official sit down on the leather couch, marriage and family therapist. I had the choice to do that, but I chose to create Rhymecology instead. And then I probably could have been like some kind of like designer of some sort, like interior designer. I don't know why. I just I can put shit together usually.
All right.
Those are my three things, I think.
Okay. And I don't want to have you move too far over, but I'm just looking at some of the pictures you have on your wall there, and that kind of just give me an idea of your taste and things like that. What are some of those images you have back there? Because you kind of talked about interior design. You talked about that you would like to be a psychologist. I'm just kind of curious, what do those images mean to you, or what do they portray about rhymecology? Do they have any significant meaning?
My wife actually painted these.
Oh, she did. Okay, see, it's good we talked about it. Give her some props.
I picked the place they go, but she's got this fun one over here. This one over here is this face here, and it says on there, I always wanted to be something great. And then it says on the bottom, I should have been more specific.
I like that. That's good. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right.
So
dope.
Yeah. And then those are a few things. Those are a few things.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing your wife images with us. Thank you for doing that and sharing that picture as well, and finding what it says on it. I just want to kind of ask you about lyricism, because I know that's been the thing we talked about the most. Do you think lyricism has improved or diminished over time? Because
both.
Okay.
Both. 100% both. 100% both. So if you look at look at some of these battle rappers like Chilla Jones or Disaster. I mean, what they're doing with their words is crazy. You couldn't have done that a long time ago. The L's I's and the Mickeys and the Royce the 5'9s and what Eminem is doing with his words, even though I don't enjoy to listen to him anymore, his words are still amazing. I think lyricism there's more techniques and tools and all this stuff, and it's very impressive for those people who are at that level. And probably the everyday Joe Schmo is probably more advanced than, probably even the average rapper was, in the late 80s or whatever. So I'd say it has improved.
Okay.
But it also has it's also gone to shit at the same time. It's so weird.
Okay.
It's also gone to shit at the same time because
yeah. Do you think it's the mumble rap that's making it go to shit, as you said, or do you think that's what's contributing to it going to shit, or just the overall direction or trends that are happening in the culture that's making it go to shit?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the mumble rap is I think that's just like a microcosm of the entire culture, because probably even if they were rhyming coherently, they still would be saying similar things. So the delivery isn't as important as the message and the lack of introspection. I mean, can you imagine like the top 10 groups coming together to create, we're all in the same gang, or self-destruction now? Like they don't have that introspection. It doesn't feel to me like they have that introspection and vulnerability. Like it feels a little different in that way. And so that's why I think lyricism has dropped down. The techniques, the tools, all that stuff has gotten a lot better. But the feeling, that's what it is. All right, I put my finger on it.
Okay, that's it.
The feeling is not there. We don't have that emotional connection. We don't have that emotional connection.
Do you think that that's something that can change in hip hop in the next 3 to 5 years, as far as there being some emotional, where we can have an emotional connection, or artists or MCs in this case may be more vulnerable or more emotionally available for the audience? Do you think we may head in that direction? I know you said sure, which is the short answer.
I think so, because there's always cycles. And the powers that be or whatever need to allow that to come back. And when they start seeing the heads of the class do it, people will follow in line. So I definitely could see that happening, and because we've been in such a thing here, it's only bound to go that way.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think that we're starting to, it is my opinion, I think we're starting to see a rebirth in the culture. I feel we kind of going that way. I believe there's a battle within hip hop right now. Like you have the new voices versus the old voices. I hate to use it in that context, but I think that's the best way to describe it, because it seems like there's because I know I deal with a lot of people in Europe, and over there they really, they get into the trap. Now, don't get me wrong, they are getting into it. You have gigs, you got other people like that. But I really see there's an appreciation over there, because they're still breakdancing, they're still beatboxing, and DJing is still significant over here, because there are MCs that are bringing that back to the forefront. But you definitely see that there's that battle that's going on right now. I want to kind of make this a little more connected to you as far as the as far as your trajectory. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years from now, as far as Rhymecology goes?
Doing similar things that I'm doing now, but on a bigger level, bigger platform, much more clients, more notoriety, and more income.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm doing all my favorite. I'm doing what I want to do. I can just see it being like I can just see it being bigger. See it being bigger.
Okay. Well, I'm glad SP went around when you said something about Eminem, because she's a stan. So she would you probably got into an argument with her on that part. But but the good thing about it, we're grateful for the conversation we had thus far. Okay. So I want to talk about your experience with how did you end up writing for and with Will I Am of the Black Eyed Peas? How did that come about?
I had wrote some copy. Like I wrote, he was creating these headphones.
Okay.
And I wrote some copy for the headphones because he's a hip hop guy. Like he used to be a backpacker, right? Like he was that guy, freestyling, ciphers, everything. So I wrote something that he related to, and then one day I got to meet him in his office, and usually people get 5 minutes of his time at the most, and we just talked hip hop for like 90 minutes, just like we're kind of doing now. And he could tell where I was coming from, that I come from a genuine place of love for this art form, and we just connected. And then just started spitting for him right there in his kitchen. So, well, it's a crazy kitchen, by the way. It's a crazy office. I don't even know how to explain it. It's called the future. But anyways, I'm like, hey, can I kick this for you? And I kicked a rhyme or two. And then one of them was this piece called Race, where every line I had an acronym for race.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Me too.
Yeah. And then I kicked one called NRA.
Dope.
Which was the same idea. I was like, we keep calling, but they never really answer. Negligent, rude assholes, killing kids like they were cancer. So everything was all the way through, like for 16, 20 bars or whatever. And so like people around him don't write like that. So he was like, he wanted to do something about the school shootings, and he ended up recording this video and using my poem NRA, and he brought a bunch of kids in and they all recited this poem and all that stuff.
That's dope.
Yeah. Turns out he didn't release the video because that's just, I guess, the business that whatever. But I was sitting in the studio with him. He's, yo, Jay, what rhymes with this? What rhymes with that? And it was a crazy cool moment in life. Yeah.
So, what song or collaboration is your top?
That for me?
Yes.
It's all the stuff that's coming. All the stuff that's coming. I think the thing I just did with Master Ace is probably a dream come true, because he's always one of my top 3 rappers.
Mine too.
I just love what he does with his stories and concepts, and to record a concept track with him is a dream come true. To go bar for bar with Mickey Fax on this is crazy, because I went so deep into the wordplay. Like I'll give you the first quatrain. It was like I said, you want bars today? I'm usually the one rocking a poem. I'm going bald, you say? Yeah, I come off the top of the dome. In the zone, playing jazz records, locked up at home. You see me and Mickey together, that's Stockton, Malone. So it was like jazz. I was locked up at home listening to jazz records in 2020. Mickey's black, he's Karl Malone, I'm Stockton, And
you
so like
jazz. Yeah, I got you.
And in the zone, but like all I had to like everything was like had to be a double, triple meaning.
Yeah, that's dope.
And so it was like that for like 32 bars, and he came in with his, and so those are probably the 2 biggest ones. I got a track with Wordsworth as well, which was also very cool because we collaborated on this concept track. But all 3 of those are like dreams come true for me, for just someone who was just like a fan, who's just kind of like worked my way in and built relationships and never asked anyone to do anything in my whole life. And then I was like, I do know a few people. And then I was like, could I get you, could we do this? And so it's just a dream come true for me.
It seems like Mickey does it so effortlessly.
No, it's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. I listen to him freestyle sometimes, when he just freestyles on IG, and I'm like, this guy, just the pure skill of him is something that should be admired.
It's just he's got a lot of levels, and there's a lot of great rappers, but as far as people who put words together consistently that have 2 to 3 to 4 meanings, I just haven't heard anyone else who does it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think lyricism has improved over the years?
Well, I think, yeah, actually, I think you might have, we were just talking about that a minute ago. I think I was just saying that it techniques and tools and schemes and patterns have, but we're missing the feeling has really we've really lost the feeling. So it's like a yes and a no.
Because I remember listening to Brenda Had a Baby. I was listening to that yesterday, and to this day, I still get teary when I hear that song.
I grew up in a home where no one liked me. Moms would hit the pipe, and every night she'd try to fight me. Papa was a nasty old man like the rest. He's feeling on my chest. Was his hands up my dress? Was this a test? Yes, I don't deserve this. Fuck, I'm nervous. I'm missing class, but every day I'm missing periods. I mean, you know, thought of pregnancies in my head, and now I'm fearing this. Fuck. One of the best verses I've ever heard in my life. That Pac was great, but that she stole the show 100%. I write about that in my book. I'm like, you want to talk about vulnerability and therapy? Listen to that verse.
Yeah. And I remember when I first heard that song, because because it was such a
let me jump in and apologize. I was talking about Part-Time Mother when I did that verse. I was reciting Part-Time Mother, not Brenda's Got a Baby.
Yeah, I know.
Same album.
I know. I was that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, those are both of those songs are so powerful.
Yeah.
And when you compare that to All Eyes on Me, it was just fluffy beats to me. It was they were just so different. Everyone's like, All Eyes on Me, and I'm like, I like all of his albums more than that one personally, just because, you know, the content and the feeling that he had on those first 3 albums.
Yeah.
And then even on Machiavelli, for some reason that All Eyes on Me, the most popular one, is, you know, I don't know, it's just different.
You know what song that kind of appealed to me? Tupac is one of my favorites, but one song that he did have on there went unnoticed on the All Eyes on Me was Can You Get Away? It was about a woman who was in an abusive relationship. He was trying to rap, trying to get her and try to be with her and stuff like that.
What's wrong with your eye? Why you got on glasses?
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. So I do feel that one song did show some vulnerability, but if you compare the previous Pac albums, you can definitely see a difference in those. But you know why? We can speak to that. We can dig deep into that. We definitely have a part 2 for that one, but for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think about the ageism and the gender gap in hip hop?
It's weird because, like, well, I don't know. I feel like we're not letting go. Like we're not letting our heroes go, so that's good. And there's still a lot of great people in their 40s making incredible stuff. You know, Master Ace is 53 or 52, 53, and he just had an incredible album last year with Brooklyn.
Yeah,
and continues to make incredible albums.
Crazy album.
And then, like, you know, people like, you know, the Apathy is still making very powerful, you know, people like that. Like, they are still relevant to us, even though kids might not listen to them, but they're still making incredible stuff, right? So I understand the ageism, but also it's a little weird because, like, you know, Rolling Stones can put out a new album next year and they're like 80, and it's like, hey, really, and you know, you could, so it's a little bit different than, like, I guess the rock and the jazz and the country eras. So I mean, I understand it, but I also think that we're kind of fighting it hard. We're fighting back. And people like us are kind of still saying, hey, listen to this, like we're not letting go. And if there was better stuff that was coming out, we probably would like it, but it's not better than what we've had, you know. Get off my lawn.
And I always tell my daughter, I say, when you're feeling emotional and you're feeling upset, or you're having a relationship problem, or you're stressed out, I don't see you going to the Migos. I see you going to LL, and I see you going to Heavy D, and I see you reaching back into Jay-Z, and you're going into Boss and the lady, the Lady of Rage. You're not dipping into your generation of music. You're going back to my generation of music. So if that's the case, then you have to see that something is missing.
Right. And yeah, and that I think the biggest thing that we talked about is that while a lot of the techniques and styles are there, now the emotion and the feeling is missing. And it's not about saying I'm a bad bitch, it's about saying I'm a hurt woman.
Yeah.
It's not about saying
I like that.
You know, yeah. It's not about saying I'm the hardest MC. It's about saying I've got problems with my toxic masculinity. You know, like and I feel like they said that in roundabout ways more before.
Yeah, I think for some reason I think I get that from one of the West Side Boogie. I get that kind of vulnerability from him. You know, where he's telling you about his life, but he's also telling you how flawed he is. And even though he's flawed, he still thinks that he should be where he is. And I think there's a lot of feeling in that. You know, he said, when I told my mom I wasn't going mess with no more ratchets, I lied. You know, he's just going, you know, you can tell he's growing up and going through, and he's talking about it.
That's like what happened. That's what we went through with Common. Like we saw Common grow from, you know, I had to halt with the malt liquor. Now my speech and thoughts quicker. We watched Common grow from a young 20-year-old, 21, 22-year-old to where he is now. And you know, you got to respect that when they're telling their story like that. Jean Grey, some of Jean Grey's albums with he talks about her, you know, all that she went through, like that. Talk about vulnerable. That's it.
Yeah.
Biggie had suicidal thoughts. You know what I'm saying? He had that song in his first album. So, you know, different things.
He did. Lord Finesse.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for being someone who loved the art, the craft and the art of rhyming and writing and hip hop, and blended it with psychology and helping people through their everyday struggles. To bring back Biggie. Yeah, so I just think I want to be remembered for the guy who created Rhymecology, and I was one of the first people to really combine mental health and psychology and rhyme writing. I didn't really. There was only one or two people out even that was doing that. Now it's getting to be much more popular. But so I want to be known as one of the pioneers in that.
And name three of the most name three of the most influential people that shaped your life. to this point that made a powerful impact as a man, a hip hop artist, a teacher, and as a human being?
Three people who influenced my life. I would say, say as a man, my stepfather was very influential because he just held me accountable and said that you create your own reality. And like, at a young age, I was, taught that I create my own reality, and about meditation and kind of like metaphysical things. And I think that really helped shape a lot of the magic that I've in my life. I got a good friend named Ali Alamayu, who I met in college, who was writing crazy rhymes when I was just writing, starting to write the simplest stuff. And I was like blown away. I was like, how can I get to that stage? And we've been like really good friends ever since, but we bounced rhymes off each other, for the last 25 years. And I probably wouldn't be where I'm at as a writer without him. So artistically, he was really important. And then my wife, Jilly, yeah, she was a independent DIY artist before they were even out. She was selling records out the back of her trunk, or touring the country, just a real go-getter. And so when I met her, I was like, I'm trying to do this thing, Rhymecology. She's like, no, you are. She's like, own it. You are the rhymecologist. And she, she's amazing. So she was major. So Jilly Moon. So those are three. That's the big three.
That's a dope three. I don't think people take, especially stepfathers, I think they get a bad rap, and it's always dope when I hear somebody big up their stepfather, because it takes a lot of, it's a lot to step in and form a relationship like that. So big ups to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Knows nothing about hip hop at all, but created me, helped create me. So that's props.
Yeah.
Props. Yeah.
Well, through you, he was able to made a contribution to hip hop. So that's one thing we can always give him props in that sense. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make sure your stepfather gets some props. So yeah, kudos to him, salute. And I want to give you an opportunity right now. Are there any shout outs or projects you'd like to promote at this time? We want to give you an opportunity to share that with our audience.
Yeah, look, if you want to break through with bars, if you want to become a better rhyme writer and connect with a bunch of other consciously creative people, I'm going to be doing workshops all throughout next year. And so through the Rhymecology website, or Rhymecology at Gmail, or Rhymecology on Instagram, if that's something that you're interested in, or know people who want to connect with other dope MCs, or just, beginner MCs, we can make that happen. Or if you want to work with me one-on-one as a coach and get into, both tapping your potential as a human being as well as your rhyme writing. Not many people do both. So that's what I do. Rhymecology.
Okay.
Dope.
Well, we definitely want to encourage anyone that watched this episode to go ahead and follow him on social media. And if you are an MC and you're looking to better your bars or connect with people that are, like-minded people, this is a good He created a great platform for you to get on in order for you to improve your skills. There's nothing wrong with being teachable or being taught, because at the end of the day, we all learn and develop ourselves through other people. So he creates a perfect platform to do that. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in and supporting Powaful Impak. I'm Sorak, joined tonight by SP and Neb. We ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Tonight, you met the wonderful Jeff Walker, the creator of Rhymecology. His MC name is also Rhymecology. He's a rhyme master, rap coach, qualified mental health professional. And just want to let you know what Rhymecology is about. It helps people express, discover, and create themselves through the study and power of hip-hop, lyrics, and culture. We thank you for listening to Powaful Impak. We ask that you have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
And all of his contact information is going to be in the description. So if you want to hit him up, it'll be in the description. Direct links.
There's and there are books. I got the book, The Art of Hip Hop Lyrics, if you want that. Or I also wrote a book called Using Hip Hop to Heal.
Okay.
I got a shirt called Write Better Rhymes, DJ Premier.
Dope.
A bunch of people rock it. If you like that kind of merch, it's all on the website.
Okay.
Documentary. Tell them about the documentary.
What's up, man? Yeah. They did a documentary on me that came out this year, actually.
Okay.
Dope.
Yeah, it's also, you can find it on that rhymecology.com website. Shows some of the work I do with artists, also some of the work with youth in the communities. Some of the stuff I did with Fox Sports Radio. Thank you. I forget these things. Yeah.
Well, that's what we do. That's what we do.
We're here to remind you and big up you.
T-shirts, sweatshirts, caps, mugs, placemats, whatever. We got them. We got them on lock. We got them on smash.
Well, I want to personally thank you for what you're doing for the culture and what you're doing for the youth, because they need a place to go and someone to connect with that can connect them to hip hop, but do it in a positive manner. So I want to personally thank you for that. I don't know if you hear that too many times, but I want to speak and I want to say thank you for what you're doing. And, and if there's any way we can help in what you're doing, let us know. We'll be glad to provide our support.
All right. No doubt.
Okay.
No doubt.
All right. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful night. Thank you again for joining us this evening.
I might send you a couple gems on the some of the things that we talked about, the race poems or the whatever tracks coming up. All right.
Sound good. Dope.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right. Powaful Impak. Boom.
Boom.
We've made a powerful impact. You go out there and make a powerful impact. Peace.